Hi there everyone, now we're going to look at some different strategies for effective change. So as we've spoken before, employees often resist change for a number of different reasons. So we're going to look at how, if you want to get a change to actually be successful, to get it through and be successful, and you want the employees to embrace it and reduce their resistance to it, then there's certain strategies that you can do. You can use there, or there's many different strategies, but we're going to look at a few of them today. So as it says there, employees are the stakeholders that are often most affected by a particular change, whether that be a merger. They're the ones that often, where there's job losses, whether uniform changes, if it's a restructure, often their jobs change. So they're the ones that really are affected by change, even if it's simple small things like little processes, or how they're the ones that are dealing with the processes, that are undertaking them each day. So they're the ones that are clearly affected by it. So due to that, they resist change, not all the time, but they often resist change because the way they feel is sometimes they can feel isolated. They fear. That fear could be that they fear whether they can undertake the new roles. If it's older generation and they're undertaking new technology, they may fear that they're being forced out with this new technology. They don't know how to use the technology. They're going to look silly. They may fear their job security. They can become frustrated that they're not having a say. Why are all these changes being forced upon us? They can feel uncertain again about whether they're going to be able to do the job and undertake the change and embrace it. And there's various other feelings that they feel. So just think back to a time where something in your life has changed and you didn't have much control over it. How did that make you feel? And a lot of the time you would have felt some of those feelings. So in order to reduce those feelings, and which will help reduce the resistance to change, there's some strategies that we can undertake, and we fit them into two categories, and we call them low risk strategies and high risk strategies. So we'll look at those two categories right now. So first of all, we've got some low risk strategies, and the first way is to open up communication. So the tactic assumes that if employees fully understand the change, they're more likely to support it. Now, communication doesn't mean just telling them what's going on, what the change is going to be, but it could be demonstrating the actual benefits of the change, and it should be two-way communication. So answering any questions that that come up, that's really important. So just having two-way communication to allay any fears or concerns that employees have, but actually also demonstrating what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but also the benefits. Being able to demonstrate the benefits of a particular change is also important, and communicating that. Next one is participation. So that is empowering your employees and involving them in decision making, or involving them in the change, so actually getting them involved. So that's the theory there, is that if employees are involved in the change process and they're making some of the decisions, then they can find it difficult to resist, because they're the ones that are making the decisions. So if they've been part of the decision making process and had their say in the change, then it's less likely that they're going to resist it. So that's one way to overcome resistance to change. Support, that's really important. So actually supporting your employees through the process, that can be simply listening. It can involve training, so if it is new technology or new process that's going in, just say, look, we know there's going to, we're going to provide you with all the training. So first of all, communicate it, and then ensure that there's, that they are fully trained and the training is of high quality, so that they can undertake these new skills and they feel confident that they can do it. And then also they'll see the benefit of the particular change. So support is really important. And another one is negotiation. So you might be able to strike a deal between the employee and the particular change. And it might be something that you can negotiate some support or something like that for a particular change. Now we move into some high risk strategies. So these are strategies, they're high risk because they can work, but they can also allow the organisation to fall flat on their face, and they're not always ethical either. So manipulation, the aim of gaining support for change, management can attempt to influence the employee's view by being selective with their facts. So if they, just saying that, a particular change that we're going to go through, and these are the benefits, but leaving some of the facts out on how it's really going to impact on the employees, That's probably, well, that's classed as unethical, and high risk because once the change happens and employees see that, hang on, you didn't tell us that this was going to happen and that was going to happen, and then that can really hurt your culture, and it can break down the relationships between the management and employees. Threats, again, not that ethical, so it's basically just saying that if we're going to demote you, or we won't give you that promotion unless you go along with the change and support it. Look, probably gets the job done in the end, because essentially at the end of the day, management is in control, but it's high risk because, again, the breakdown in relationships between management and employees. As soon as you're taking threatening people, then the relationship is going to break down. So that's not a great one, but it is something that you can use, and just so you know that it is high risk. And also co-optation. So that what that involves is, and this probably sounds like a low risk strategy, but let me just explain it. So it involves selecting an influential person from a group of the people that are going to resist it. So someone that influences the group, getting them involved in the change. But what it's about is essentially not actually involving them in decision making. It's pretty much just putting their name to their change, but they don't actually have any real involvement in making decisions. Now, the reason that's high risk is because that person will soon figure out that, or may soon figure out what's being done, that they don't really have a real say, that they're just there so that they can gain support from all the other employees. And once that happens, similar kind of things happen, the relationships break down, culture is, altered, and then all of a sudden you've got possible disputes on your hand and those kind of things. So there's some high-risk strategies. So just to recap, essentially these are strategies to try and reduce resistance to change or manage change effectively. So if you see a question that says some strategies on how to manage change effectively or reduce resistance, this is what we're referring to. And the low risk strategies that we can use: communication, participation, support, and negotiation. And the high risk strategies: manipulation, threat, and co-optation. So for even more resources to help you improve your understanding of today's topic, come over to teachingbubble.com.